Welcome back to Risk Check Podcast, episode 45.
It's going to be a funny episode.
If you're watching, you're probably wondering what the hell is going on. If you're listening, enjoy it. But I do recommend that at some point in time, you tune into either our YouTube channel or you visit us on Spotify and you get to see this one visually because it's going to be a real treat. We got a special guest with us, but before we get into that, allow us to introduce ourselves. My name is Perry.
I'm Ben.
And I'm Rashawn.
And we make up the Risk Check Podcast. Tonight, we have the infamous Fremstar.
Yes, sir.
Welcome to the show, my man.
Woo!
Right.
Round of applause.
Thank you guys.
Glad to have you. This actually wasn't very long in the making. What's really cool is that he's super responsive on IG, and I really just started. I think last week. It was like maybe right before New Year's. I reached out. He responded at lightning speed. We talked about getting him in the show, and he was traveling. He was like, "Yo, I'm here on this date," and here we are tonight. So many thanks for you coming on down and making it.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Much appreciative.
Yes, sir.
Before we get started with tonight's festivities, we'll have to kick off our honorary wrist check. I'm going to hand it down to the man who never repeats a watch,
Yes.
Mr. Fremstar and Doom himself. What do you got on the wrist tonight, sir?
I love this new nickname. So I am Fremstar and Doom tonight. Not repeating the watch. So still trying to uphold my title. I am wearing the DW6900 from G-Shock. This one is very special because it's in collaboration with not only North Face, but Supreme.
It's
Supreme.
a triple sign G-Shock.
Triple sign G-Shock.
How's that?
It's crazy.
So funny enough, I felt like this piece was very appropriate for our guests. You know, our connection with streetwear and, you know, just a lover of stuff and collecting things and kind of like the essence. I feel like anyone that has collected watches, you know, the first time piece that kind of they felt like they were a true collector was a G-Shock. So I kind of wanted to go to the essence.
Okay.
You're very New York right now.
Yeah. You got your orange and blue. You got your Doom mask.
He got his Timbs on.
I got my Timbs on.
Fresh buttons.
You know, I'm rocking my New York Knicks colors. You know, North Face, of course. Like, you know, you got to do the 700 bubble. So
Okay.
I felt very appropriate tonight.
He's on his New York-ish.
Yes.
Respect. Ben, what you got on the wrist tonight?
I'm wearing
Something special?
It is special.
There's some more heat on this couch?
It's a John special.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
We went back-to-back Pateks.
Wow.
5738R Golden Ellipse. Black
Incredible.
dial.
Beautiful.
I wore this on the live episode we did at Soho House.
That's right. Yeah, you
Part of
did
the
wear that
double
at the
wrist
Soho
action
House. Yeah.
With the Jorn.
Beautiful piece.
I put it on, and like Rashawn said, we all dressed pretty down right now. Sneakers, pretty casual, so I had to dress it up on the wrist.
Sure. I'll save the guest for last. I'll go next. I'm actually repeating a watch. I'm wearing my this one's getting a lot of rest. I'm enjoying it. My vintage white gold date 18239, quick set date feature. I don't know. This might be it for me. I might be done.
How'd you
Beautiful.
get that watch again?
How did I get it?
Yeah.
Getbezel.com.
Woo! Woo!
So if you're wondering, yes, the discount code still works.
Yes.
And it's Risk Check Pod. So if you are looking for a new timepiece and you want to save some coin, use our code and you get $250 off your first purchase.
Yes.
Shout out to Get Bezel. They also just got some major funding. So big shout out
Facts.
to Ryan and Co. They just raised $8 million in their first round of funding. I'm really excited to see where things go
Some pretty serious
go
people
from here.
backing
We're gonna
it,
have
too.
Ryan on the show soon too. So
Yes.
yeah,
Very
some pretty
nice.
serious people. They got I think Kevin Hart
Kevin
gave him
Hart,
some
Steve
money.
Aoki,
Yeah, Kyle Kuzma,
John Reardon.
John Reardon, who'll be on the show at some
Mhm.
point in time.
Wow, nice.
Fremstar, what do you got on the wrist for us tonight?
Yes, sir. So this is my 16200, my
Okay.
first Rolex watch.
Your first Rolex. Wow.
Yes, my first Rolex watch. I purchased it in 2005
Okay.
when I was in Hawaii on my honeymoon.
Nice.
Right. So this one right here has a lot of sentimental value, and that's that pretty much. you
There's
know?
something special on that dial, though.
It's just a black dial.
Is it?
Yeah, it's just a black dial.
You're thinking of
Black
there's
dial.
another
thinking, oh,
one. There's another one
Okay.
amongst us. There's another one amongst us right now that
yeah.
I think you might be jumping the gun
There's one of them.
just a little bit. But so 2005. So you've been collecting watches for quite some time.
Very long time, sir. Very long time.
Where are you from originally?
New York.
New York. Wow.
Actually,
okay.
I want to say Mars. Mars.
Okay.
But New York.
Respect.
So New York, born and raised.
Yeah.
I come from an African background.
Okay.
West Africa, Ghana.
Nice.
You know, that runs through my blood. But
Okay.
New York though.
Yeah. And how did this kick off for you? Because everyone kind of has like their own start with watches. I think for most of us, it probably starts from childhood, or you get like some initial
Of course.
into it. But where did this start?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, childhood. So mine stemmed from my mom,
Mhm.
right? So first grade, I had a terrible day in school, right? Like crying, kids were making fun of me because of my last name, whatnot, call me African booty scratcher and things like that. That's
Okay.
how it
Kids
was.
being mean as they do.
Sure.
Of course,
Yeah.
of course. So my mom picks me up
Mm.
and we go to a store called Macy's,
Okay.
which is on 34th Street. And at that time, there was a watch that she gifted to me,
Mhm.
which is a Mickey Mouse Loris watch, right?
Okay.
Loris, Lorus.
Mhm.
And the hands of Mickey, anytime the hours change or the minutes change, his hands will move.
Yeah.
So that feeling that I got when my mom gifted me that watch was everything. And it's like, as I got older, I tried to chase that feeling in anything I did, whether it was work, whether it was, just playing basketball or something like that. I was trying to chase that feeling from that watch that my mom gifted me throughout my whole life, though. And it's still continuing today.
Yeah. So at what point did you say to yourself, either I'm a collector or I'm going to start collecting watches? Because I think for many of us, you might start here, like, and it's funny because I actually started with the Mickey Mouse watch too.
Okay.
It always seems like it goes back to Disney some way.
Right.
But then there's probably like a lapse, and what kicked it off where you were like, all right, I'm buying watches.
Wow. So for me, like the watch thing didn't really start getting serious until after I graduated from college and I started earning some money. But before that, I was buying small watches here and there, like some trinkets and things, Timex, not that Timex is a bad brand, but like started small like that, dabbling in things here and there. But primarily my collecting habit stemmed from like collecting sneakers, of course.
Okay.
And video games.
Yeah.
I think my video game and sneaker collection is much more serious than my watch collection. To be
Oh,
honest
wow.
with you.
Okay.
No way.
So
I
yeah,
believe it. We had this conversation before.
yeah. So I mean, I didn't really start getting serious in watches until I want to say 2005.
Okay.
Right? Now, 2004, when I finished school, my first check, I bought a Movado watch, which is a black museum Movado
museum watch.
The
Nice.
museum watch. I didn't bring that today, but when
You still have it then?
Yeah, I still have it. Of
Oh,
course.
wow.
You still
Okay.
have all your watches?
For the most part, yes. Yes. There is one watch I do not have.
Do you regret getting rid of it?
No, I don't. I'm happy I got rid of it though. And I'll talk about that right now though. It was a 5131P that I actually picked up from a friend, right? And that watch former friend, and that watch that I picked up didn't have my name or anything on the cert.
Sure.
And it kind of rubbed me the wrong way because anything that I
it was
own,
never really yours.
exactly, anything I own, I want my name to be on the cert. I want it to be something that commemorates like an achievement or something that I did, right? So after some time, like, nah, I'm just not feeling this watch, and I let it go. But other than that, everything I've accumulated, I've kept, for the most part.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
So fast forward to today. So your relationship with collecting, it started with your mom.
Correct.
What do your parents think about your collecting
Oh,
these days?
yeah. I mean, my dad thinks I lost my marbles. For real. Like, I would never tell my parents how much I've spent on some pieces that I own. Right?
Sure.
I would never tell them. My mom is like, hey, how much was this one? And I know how much I paid for it, but I'll always undervalue it by like 100 times though, or something like that.
Hey, mom, don't worry about that. It's good. Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah.
Look,
But I've gifted my parents watches. Here
oh, I'm
and there,
sure.
too,
Yeah. How does that feel?
Amazing.
Yeah.
The give back for what they've done for me always feels good.
That probably gives you the feeling from when your mom gave you that Mickey Mouse watch more than it does buying a new watch.
Absolutely.
That's gotta be a great feeling.
1000%.
Yeah. That's cool, man. So fast forward. Now today, we know you from Instagram.
Okay.
And just, if I could paint the picture for the folks watching and even the folks listening, I had no idea what you looked like until you stepped into the room. Right? So, and if, for those who are listening, he's wearing a mask on set. And so you've created this Instagram page where you're using your name, Fremstar.
Right.
And but you have used the caricature of Kermit the Frog.
Of course.
Where did that come about?
Childhood memory.
Okay.
So as I was growing up, it's between Kermit the Frog and Curious George, right?
Okay.
These are dolls that my parents bought me when I was much younger,
Mm-hmm.
right? And as I started, doing the forums thing, like Rolex forums, that's where I started learning the land of the lay of collecting watches. I didn't want to put my face and my name out there, right? Because I come from a financial background, and in finance, you don't really want like your managing director,
especially with watches. Yeah.
Exactly, oh yeah,
to say, hey man, like
no gold at the office.
We're paying this guy a little bit too much though. So let's scale it back a little bit though. No, so I didn't want to get mixed up in that, and I wanted to be completely anonymous, right?
Sure.
So like I said, it was either Curious George or Kermit the Frog, and I didn't want to come up as a monkey. So I preferred the frog.
Got you. So what's cool about your page too is because we talk about like anonymity and infamy, but you're just highlighting the pieces. Right. And I think, at least for me, I'll speak for myself, one of the things that really struck me is seeing the diversity in your collection on your page. Because you have like serious hitters, but then you also have like pieces that the guys who are after those hitters in many cases don't even want to look at.
Right. Yeah. Right.
And you entertain these pieces.
Of course. Absolutely.
So I mean, speak to that a little bit. Like, you're in a space where you get to enjoy this stuff, but you like, and I know you're familiar with this term because you've been buying watch a long time, but you like other brands.
Of course, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And for me, I mean, I'm not a watch snob, right?
Yep.
I mean, I can appreciate, a Seiko, and I can appreciate a Grand Comte Patek, or Audemars Piguet, So like, for instance, I don't know if I can reach over.
Yeah, please. Let's do it.
So like, for instance, this piece right here, it's Frederic Constant's Tourbillon Perpetual Calendar.
Okay.
Right? Now, people would just say, Frederic Constant, this is something you could pick up from Macy's. Not quite. Not this guy right here. I mean, there's only 15 of these that exist, right? This one is number 6. I was actually chasing number 7 since that's my favorite number, but people that have reached out, it's been all smoke and mirrors. Yeah. People say they have something, then they don't really have anything. But now, if this said Patek Philippe on the dial,
everybody will want it.
People will go crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
But for me, I don't care about that stuff. You know what I mean? I care about the things that look good on my wrist,
right?
What I can reasonably afford, and what I enjoy. And given the fact that there's only 15 of these that exist, to me, this is much more special than, let's say, a Submariner or a Daytona or something like that. Yeah. Just for me,
So how'd you end up getting that one?
Well, long story short, I was in Paris and I was actually in Bucharest, and I'm looking.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what catches my eye? I was talking to my sales rep over there, and he's like, you know what? I have a few special pieces. He showed me some IWCs. He showed me some Vacheron Constantin watches. And I'm like, nah, this doesn't really catch my eye. He was like, you know what? I have something that's really special. He came up with this, and like, now we're talking.
Oh, wow.
Now we're talking.
And when did you acquire that? What year?
That was late last year. I want to say in October. I got to go back to my IG page and look though. late October.
You got too many watches to keep up.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah. So this watch right here is really special for me.
Yes. So funny enough, when Perry was talking about other brands and how you have so many heavy hitters, but you also are a lover of the pieces that some people may overlook. The one that caught my eye the most, and we spoke about it off camera, was your Tudor Black Bay 58 in the solid gold.
Appreciate it, yeah.
The reason why that draws so much attention to me is because, not only does it show that you are a lover and you appreciate watches in general, that you're not about the hype.
No, not at all.
You know what I mean? Like, sure, someone can look at this collection and be like, oh man, like, these are like watches that people will probably never ever see in their life, in their lifetime. But you have something like this where it's like, this is rarely available. You can acquire this.
Of course.
And for you to share this, because you have so many more watches that you could share.
Correct.
This being in your Louis Vuitton like travel case speaks volumes.
Right.
Well, it's a beautiful luxury timepiece. Tudor is a special brand. I mean, I'm a big fan. But to piggyback on something that you talked about, and I think Rashawn was hitting a really good note, is going back to the diversity in your collection. And so you've been collecting watches for almost 20 years now.
Long time.
And what strikes me about your collection is when I see a group this diverse, it comes across to me as someone who is still incredibly curious and studious.
Absolutely.
About horology.
Absolutely.
So, you made mention of Rolex Forum. Mm-hmm. And I kind of want to get into what was it like in those sort of, I guess, your formative years of watch collecting. What did Rolex Forum provide for you? What was it like at that time?
Wow, at that time, it was more the curiosity phase, mm-hmm. right? Of trying to research watches and try to understand them, right? I mean, you have a lot of people that are knowledgeable from all over the world talking about timepieces, right? And I didn't really know what I was getting myself into, at that time. But diving into the Rolex forums many years ago was like opening up Pandora's box, right? Mm-hmm. And when you open up that box, it's like, wow.
There's no closing it.
Exactly. You just want to keep.
I feel like Rolex forums in those days is like a minefield.
It was.
The internet for watches back then was the people who already knew watches.
Yeah. Exactly.
It is now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And back then, there was no pretentiousness. There was no like, hey, I got this, I got that. Of course, people would do like, hey, I got a new watch, but everybody embraced it. Whereas now in this playing field, it's like, man, look how much money I got. Or, for instance, let me take a step back though. Like that Tiffany blue watch, right?
Mm-hmm.
When
the 5711.
The 5711. When that went on auction, and it was one, people just lost their minds though, right?
Yeah.
I look at that watch, I'm not gonna say too much on air, but I look at that watch and it's like, okay, this is interesting, right? But it doesn't.
Interesting is a good way to put it.
Yeah, but it isn't like.
Doesn't move you.
Yeah, it doesn't move me at all.
Yeah.
It doesn't move me at all, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna say if I have it in my collection or not though, but I'm just gonna say this. but it doesn't move me at all.
Yeah, it doesn't move you. Yeah.
Right.
So I have a question.
Sure.
Because, we aren't young pups.
Speak for yourself.
No, I mean, but I'm saying in a retrospect, so, we don't come from the social media era.
Right.
Like, I remember when dial-up was a thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was still analog.
Yeah. So, with that being said,
that also
because you're talking about,
though.
but of course, it's not that long ago, but I'm talking about like late 90s into early 2000s, you collecting watches in 2005. What is, for people that are in this space of, forums and things like that, give them context, because you are an OG in this.
Right.
So give them context. What time period is this where you're entering the forums and it's not pretentious, or no one's like bragging about what they have, what they own, or trying to show off and kind of like distasting the things that we love?
Absolutely. So I want to say this is like 2001. If that.
Oh, right? Wow. So this was even a little bit earlier.
Yeah. So like 2001. This is when I was like kind of creeping on the forums a little bit though. Right. And I would like post things here and there, asking questions. Right. And there was one gentleman that really stands out, and I still speak to him today. And he's really like an amazing mentor to me. Right. By the name of KR. I mean, his initials are KR. Actually, I have to say his name. Mr. Ken Ross. Right.
Yes.
Okay.
We both come from finance backgrounds. And he took a liking to me, and he started teaching me things about what to look for, how to select certain pieces, right? Don't just look at gold or look at what shines, focus on how this moves or the quick set functions, And he started teaching me some things though. And then after that, it became a real relationship where he started teaching me the land of lay about finance, right?
Yeah.
And trying to tell me how I can get ahead in finance, right? Then we're both God-fearing gentlemen, started talking about faith as well, and then also philanthropy, which is a thing that I enjoy doing as well too. So, the forums had a different feel. It was more like a home kind of feeling. Whereas now it's like I said, like, hey, look what I got here and there and stuff.
That's kind of cool though, because it's almost like you went through an apprenticeship of sorts.
Somewhat, yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny because, when we started, we talked about this a little bit off camera too, but there were so many people already involved in the industry that looked like us, but prior to COVID and social media kind of exploding, we just weren't communicating with one another.
Correct.
And what we're experiencing now, it seems like it's similar to this relationship that you had with this gentleman, where it was like, hey, let me actually show you the lay of the land. Let me show you what this timepiece collecting thing is actually all about.
Correct.
What do you think? So you've been collecting this long. How do you feel about the state of collecting now? I'm sure you might be mentoring people. I'm sure you come across a lot of guys who have either just gotten their start or been collecting for a couple of years
Correct.
now. What do you feel about the state of collecting and the industry at large?
I think today people gravitate towards what's more flashy, right? What's going to give them the most likes on Instagram or social media, instead of gravitating towards pieces that, like I said, they can reasonably afford, and that they would truly enjoy, right? And I think because of the whole influx of social media, a lot of novice collectors are looking at, hey, if I buy this watch, how much can I sell it for tomorrow? Right?
Yeah.
And that just ruins the whole thing for me, though, right? I mean, everyone is different. Sure, I get that. And I respect everyone.
But you talking about 90% of people buying watches right now, though.
Oh,
they're always looking at resale value.
Yeah,
hold value, cannot sell it.
It's annoying.
Money
it's annoying.
Yeah,
and I get tons of questions like that on my DMs, right? And I just ignore every single one of them, right? But a few of the guys like, hey, you know what? I'm really looking into, building a watch collection. What should I look for? And I say, hey, you know what? My first watch was a Movado. It wasn't like my first real watch was a Rolex that I purchased, but my first watch was a Movado. And you can purchase a watch that you can truly enjoy and then go from there. Yeah. Right. You don't have to hit home runs out the gate.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And even like the Movado Museum, I mean, it's a legendary and a classic piece that has adorned the wrist of many, skilled jazz musicians, athletes, entertainers, what have you. It has its own place in the history of horology, design, and art. So you brought some watches with you today.
Yes, sir.
I know, we talked a little about how special this piece is on your wrist, but I'm curious in terms of what you have for us today. What's another piece that's here that means a lot to you?
Well, I want to say my Maurice Lacroix watch over here. This was gifted to me on my wedding day, actually, in 2005, a very long time ago. So it does have some sentimental value to me, right? It's the Jor et Newt, which was night and day, right? So it's a retrograde watch, and it's a fabulous piece. Absolutely.
So this watch was gifted to you on your wedding. Did you also wear it on your wedding or for your wedding?
Yeah, I did, actually, many years ago. I mean, I haven't strapped it on my wrist in a long time, but yeah, that was a long time.
And your wife bought this for you?
Yes. Yes,
is she collecting watches?
No, not at all.
No.
She just knows what you like.
She's like, you crazy.
What do you think drew her to this watch? Did you drop some hints?
No hints at all. No hints at all. But in college, it's something that I also enjoyed and stuff like that, like looking at watches here and there. So I guess you picked up from there.
So when you during those formative years, you're in Rolex Forum, you get, fast forward 2005, you get married, you get this watch, you get your first Rolex. Where were you going from there in terms of what you can remember from like, all right, I'm still kind of chasing this, this feeling. Were you still heavily driven to like wanting to explore Rolex? What was going on?
No, my focus was never just Rolex. It was just more how a watch looks, right?
Okay, so it was aesthetics.
Exactly, how it moves,
How did you discover what you liked aesthetically?
By trial and error. Just trial and error, just like reading a lot of magazines also back in the days, Watch Time magazine. Okay. And just, doing some research on Rolex forums also, because it wasn't just Rolex watches. It was the gamut of everything, like from Omega to all types of brands, right? Citizens. But yeah, it's just trial and error, you know? And I still feel like today I'm still in that black hole, right? Just still trying to figure it out, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm carefully curating pieces that I pick up.
So do you find yourself like occasionally consolidating, like you moving stuff out, maybe moving other things in? No. You keep everything?
No, yeah, for the most part.
Okay.
And I've actually been labeled by a friend as the husband dust collector, right? So shout out to Shannon on that. But yeah, so I just have stuff that just collects dust. Yeah. Not on purpose, but I just have this fear of, I want to say missing out, that fear of like letting something go
And
that took
wanting
me such a
back.
long time. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You were gonna say something?
Funny enough, because when you ask, like, do you offload or like, you know, do you get rid of anything? Do you gift anything? You know, these guys make a joke about me not repeating a watch, and you know, we're like 40 some odd episodes in, and like I haven't repeated a watch.
No, you definitely have.
Yeah.
Come on, can I keep my title?
Yeah.
Not by choice, but I've
Yeah, it's
repeated
by
some,
choice.
not by choice that I've repeated some watches. But that's
we
another
gonna
conversation.
put a sound bite in here of you saying I intentionally repeated a watch.
Well, yes, that's another conversation. But you know, to that point that Perry was bringing, I might be jumping the gun, but I want to ask, how many watches do you own?
It's a significant amount though.
Yeah.
It's a significant amount.
Is it
though.
enough that you can share?
Do you know the number?
I do know the number.
You do know the number.
over
I
300.
find that some people, after a
no.
while, they just stop counting.
No, for insurance purposes, I have to know the number.
Respect.
You know, but it's significant. It's significant. You know, yeah.
It's
We're
up
gonna
there.
leave it there.
Yeah, it's not three. It's not three figures, but
It's up
May-
there.
maybe
He's
in a-
like
He's
99.
beating you.
maybe in a few years.
Oh yeah, by a long shot. So do you? I mean, looking at what we see here, this is very impressive. I mean, outside of like, you know, the biggest names that we know in the world, the Jay-Z's, the Kevin Harts, etc. I kind of look at you as probably like one of the biggest watch collectors that I have met so far.
I appreciate it. And you know what's interesting? I probably shouldn't be talking about this, right? But
you will because you want to.
exactly.
Yes, you should talk about it.
Exactly. And you know what? And this is not clout chasing or anything
Sure.
like that, because I don't care about any of that stuff, though, right? But I gotta say, well, I was in Paris. I want to say summer of last year, right?
Okay.
And I was speaking to one of my essays over there, and he said, "Hey, I need to introduce you to somebody." And who he introduced me to was Mr. Steve Harvey, right?
Oh, wow.
Long story short, speaking to him, Steve takes my phone and puts his number in my phone.
Yeah.
I didn't ask him for his number or anything like that. And we've been talking here and there about timepieces, watches, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He's asking me for my advice on certain things.
That's
which is
awesome.
crazy.
That's amazing.
It's another gentleman also by the name of Sean Stockman,
Okay.
you know, also asked me questions here and there about watches and stuff too. These are gentlemen that I used to look up to. Well, I still do look up to them though, right?
Yeah, of course.
But looked up to them when I was much younger. And it's not, now I can just pick up the phone and call them anytime I want to, which is crazy.
Isn't that so awesome how like this hobby brings people together?
Agreed.
Yes.
Like the connections that can be made just through your love and appreciation
Absolutely.
of horology, the circles that it puts you in, the people it exposes you to
Mhm.
is amazing. And then, you know, to even hear that like, you know, your sales professional introduces you to Steve Harvey, and this is someone who, you know, does speaking engagements towards the world, speaking to people, kids, business owners, etc. And he's like, I want you to be my mentor.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
You know what's crazy is that Steve been rocking some heat on Instagram.
He does.
Yeah.
He does.
Yeah.
He's
Shared
been,
it
yeah,
back
he's
before.
been on.
He had a green Patek on.
He
lately.
did. Yeah.
Yes,
I love
yes.
how he matches his outfits with the
Facts,
watches
yeah.
too. He's the fly god.
Yeah.
Yes.
Respect it. You mentioned Watch Time magazine. I did read, there was an interview that you did some years back, and you kind of glossed over a little bit how impactful seeing you know, a watch collector we happen to all admire on the cover of Watch Time. It was Jay-Z.
Correct.
What did seeing that do for you? And I imagine probably seeing him in the space that he's in still does something for you. Talk a little bit about that.
Absolutely. So, I mean, for me, it showed me that, hey, I can do this too, right? I mean, obviously not rap.
Sure.
Of course not. But in terms of,
You might.
nah. No. I mean, in terms of like, hey, gravitating towards what we like, these trinkets, these watches and stuff. And when AP branded his own watch for him, I'm like, wow, this just took it to next level.
Yeah,
Right?
it really did.
Yeah.
I actually did try to chase after that watch, and I did have the stainless steel one in my hand, but I just never pulled the trigger on it.
Did
though.
that one have the diamonds at 10?
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
It did have the diamonds at 10 and had the iPod, which was preloaded with his music on it, though, right? You know, but yeah, that just kind of like really shifted my mind. And I'm like, hey, this guy looks like me somewhat, right? I can do it too, right? And that was kind of like a driving factor for me too. I'm like, man, this finance thing that I'm in, this finance game that I'm in, I got to excel at this, right?
Yep.
And that's
It's. I mean, he's kind of the figurehead and the spokesman for that. I think for a lot of us, in various different ways. Here's a gentleman that has, put his hat in the ring in various arenas, and has fought tooth and nail to be successful, has paved way for other Black and brown people, women, etc. To succeed, and now it's really cool to like see him in this space as he ages gracefully.
Yes.
And still dibbles and dabbles in what he does best, but is also able to, speak to collecting timepieces and art, but then also show you, give you sort of a glimpse at like, hey, this has been happening behind the scenes for like a very long time. I'm actually pretty well seasoned,
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
And I think that's incredibly special. I mean, I can't wait to have him on the show one day.
Amazing.
Wow.
You will. You will.
Yes. Yes.
Let me ask you about two watches in the box.
Sure.
So I
Let's
know
go.
Jaeger is one of your favorite brands too.
Yes, sir.
So there's 4 Jaegers here.
Okay.
I want to ask you about the almost twin Duometras.
Mm-hmm.
Why have 2 of them and how?
So one is rose,
Mm-hmm.
and the other one is yellow. The yellow gold I had to have because it's a limited edition of 300 pieces, right? And I just love the aesthetics of the brand, right?
Yeah.
I also have the white gold version, but that's in service right now, and I should be getting that back in
So
March.
to be clear, people listening, that's Duometra triplets.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, the way the watch is a Floridian. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly though, but the way it moves, the way it looks, it's just phenomenal, right? Just loves the Jaeger Lecoq brand. Love it.
You go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, so at what point did you, because if, for those who follow your page, we see the Rolexes, we see your love and appreciation for other brands.
Mm-hmm.
And, now over the last couple of years, Patek. When did you decide to make that leap? What is it about Patek that you enjoy?
So the Patek thing for me has always been there, but I just kind of started unveiling things a little bit here and there on social media. Now I do have.
You got a pretty good collection. Open this thing up because there's some interesting pieces in here.
Yeah, I mean, I do have pieces I had never posted on social media ever though, right?
I want to ask you about that too, but that's later.
All right.
Okay.
So out of this box here, 6119.
Yep.
And 5271.
Yes,
P stand out to me the most.
Okay.
How'd you get the gem set 271P?
Man.
Or what? Not how'd you get, but what brought your attention to that? Because I want to ask you about gem set pieces after this.
No worries. Shout out to Brian Govberg. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
That's the plug.
Yeah. For I don't want to say gifting me the 5271P, but to own that watch and to have it in my collection is a gift, though. Right? So, I walked into his store in Miami. We were chatting, talking, and things like that, and apparently my name is in Patek. Made a few calls trying to see who I am here and there and stuff like that, and he was like, "Hey, I have this special piece for you."
Yeah,
and that's how that came to be.
That's awesome. Well, what's great too, and I imagine if your name is ringing bells in the company, the reason why is you have people who are advocating for you and speaking to you as this is a guy who's really serious about his timepieces. Us occupying some of the spaces that we occupy and speaking to the people that we speak to, it is pretty refreshing to meet someone who enjoys the full breadth of Patek. The Nautilus is great. Aquanauts are fantastic. But they have so much to offer in terms of diversity of timekeeping and watchmaking that I think a lot of people miss.
Yeah.
Agreed.
This is beautiful.
Why I want to dive back into this piece. And, we spoke off camera about our background and who we are and what we do. This timepiece here is not one that you can just buy anymore.
Of course, right.
You have no access to that unless you are someone that is significant in the Patek. Obviously, if you are a Patek collector or know of Patek, that, the abstracts are handwritten.
Correct.
Of course, we're not in the prehistoric age, so there's a digital side to it, but there's still a bit of an intimacy of like handwritten transcripts and things like that. You are now one of those proud owners that has a handwritten transcript to this piece.
Correct.
Because if you want that watch and you can qualify for it, it's no longer handwritten. It comes with your name on it.
Correct. Absolutely.
Yeah, owning the process of getting a Patek, owning one, just wearing one is kind of a ceremony.
Mm-hmm.
It is,
Yeah,
actually. It really is.
I'm wearing a 5738.
Mm-hmm.
There's another one in my hands, which is seeing one in the wild is a little bit rare. People don't really care about the ellipse, even though they should.
Yes.
There's a 5738G, which is an extremely special version of this watch.
Correct.
So it's a white gold case, galvanized white gold dial, so it's black, and it's engraved.
Correct.
This is a more recent acquisition, right?
Yes, sir. It is.
What drew your attention towards this?
I had to have it. So I was actually waiting for that piece for, I want to say, a year already, though.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
And it was back and forth talk with my sales associate, and it just came to be. Got the call.
So do you like this more than the Calatrava?
Ooh, man. See, that's like asking which one is your favorite child.
I know.
Right?
So I like the Calatrava a little more just because the case is engraved.
Okay, that's fair.
But
That's fair.
I prefer the shape of the ellipse. If the ellipse had an engraved case, it would be
yeah. No, but it's beautiful. What in terms of you continuing, what are you looking for these days in watches?
Yeah, what are you on the hunt for?
I'll tell you right now, I need that Seiko.
Which
The
one?
Seiko, the Daytona Seiko. The new one with the orange.
Oh yeah.
Yes, sir. I need that. I need that watch.
I love that.
And
do you work with anybody that sells Seiko?
Yeah. No, not the Seiko brand. SACO, the Daytona. The one with the orange bezel.
The orange sapphire.
Yeah, the orange sapphire. Yeah.
I thought you meant that Seiko Panda chronograph.
No.
Oh, we get you right now. Yo, Derek Mon. What up?
Shout out to the Minute Mon. Shout out to the Minute Mon. Shout out to Derek Mon. He's amazing.
You want on
Oyster
Flex?
On Oyster Flex.
Yeah.
Yes.
On Oyster Flex.
Yes, on Oyster Flex.
Ben Simmons started rocking that.
I'm just gonna say, Matt, you hear me?
So when that comes in, what are you not seeing from brands that you would like to see?
Originality, you know what I mean? And when I say that, I mean, of course, Rolex has their bread and butter with the Submariners, the GMTs. But in my case right here, I have my Cellini, my Moonface Cellini.
I'll take it.
Yep.
And I have to say, by far, to me, that is the best Rolex in production today, though.
Wow.
Right?
There's so much value here, too.
Absolutely love that.
He does. He's not lying.
So
for me, the Skydweller is nice, which I have a few of those guys, though.
A few.
The Submariners are nice. The gem set stuff is amazing. I love it.
Yeah.
But that right there, when I strap that Cellini on,
it's a very special piece.
Exactly.
It's a $28,000 watch. It costs about as much as the entry level.
The thing is, though, too,
so
it's like,
unfortunately,
a lot of people don't have the opportunity to see this in person because you really do have to see this piece in person. It photographs great, but it's just not the same.
Photographs of watches are never.
It's not the same, and it is a really beautiful piece.
I have a really deep connection with the Cellini. I own a Rolex Cellini.
Nice.
And I felt like, and we've shared this conversation, like, just as far as like, if I could only own a watch, what would it be? And would I ever take it off? I could like eat, sleep, and poop in it.
Oh wow.
That was a real statement.
Yeah,
because I feel like the Cellini was a line that was underappreciated. It was the black sheep. It was one of the only lines in Rolex that had the diversity. So how many ways could you configure, a date just? So how many ways could you configure a Submariner, etc., and all these kind of things?
Correct.
But you're talking about configuration versus full-on design languages across the boards from different eras.
Correct.
Precious metal, indices, diamonds, this, that, the whole nine that you do not and probably will not see in Rolex for quite some time.
Exactly.
Very underappreciated, but for someone like yourself with so much taste, makes sense.
Appreciate it.
You mentioned gem sets.
Yes, sir.
I love gem set watches. You ain't bring any with you, but on your Instagram you got a couple.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I brought the Patek.
Yeah, but that's not what I'm
Yeah.
talking about. I'm talking about the shit that's really gem set.
Okay, like my rainbow.
You got the rainbow.
Got the rainbow.
Right, with the pave diamond bracelet.
Yes, sir.
You have a Patek 5980, right?
Yes,
gem
sir.
set.
The full off catalog.
Rose gold,
Off
off
catalog.
catalog with
Yes, sir.
baguettes all the way around.
Yes.
What do you have stashed as gem set that you like to wear, but you haven't really put out there?
Really? Oh man. I mean,
And that's gonna lead into another question.
cool. Got the Saru
Mhm.
as well. You know.
The Saru, okay.
Yeah, Saru. Haven't rocked that
What
much.
what color gold?
Rose.
Rose.
Haven't rocked that.
I've never really. I've seen you wear it in person, but I've never seen you wear it like
post it.
often. Your sub actually.
Oh yeah. The sub as well too. You know, I mean, some pieces I can't really wear all the time though,
Mhm.
right? Because it's like way too flash. and-
Sure.
Yeah.
I feel like of all the ones you got, the sub is probably the easiest one to put on, and
It
you
is.
kind of forget.
It is.
Hmm.
Now, don't get it twisted. I mean, there's plenty of times when I'm overseas
Mm.
and I'm wearing short sleeves, and I've worn my Rainbow Daytona.
Sure.
I've worn my Submariner, been on the subway and the trains and stuff like
Yeah.
that, and haven't been bothered, right?
Mm.
But then I see, you know, people these days getting robbed on the train and things
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that. So I kind of stopped doing
Mhm.
that a little bit. 'Cause I
Of
don't-
course.
Yeah, you know. But yeah.
I'm curious, you know, right now, like last week we had a friend of the pod, Carlos Ramirez, on, who just started his own watch brand.
Good
and
guy.
it seems
I heard
like
a little bit about him.
yeah, he's a good dude, and pretty cool watch company they got cooking with Mech watches. But it seems like, you know, 2022, and it's starting to look like 2023. The energy that's been building up behind some of like these micro independent brands
Mm-hmm.
is really continuing to like heat up.
Right.
I'm curious if there's any out there that you kind of have your eyes on.
Honestly, I haven't really, you know, dove into that kind of,
Mm-hmm.
you know, stream just yet. I mean, I know mb&f is really out there. I
Yeah.
got the chance to meet Max
Yeah.
on several occasions.
Yeah.
You know, nice guy. And I know he made something like an MB1 or something
Mhm.
like that, which is
LM 101.
something like that.
Yeah.
You know, which
Yeah.
is kind of like a gateway into like the bigger stuff though.
Yeah.
You know, like what he's
Oh,
doing
you're talking
over
about the
there.
Mad one.
The Mad
Oh,
one.
the
There
Mad
you go.
one.
The
Yeah,
Mad
yeah,
one.
yeah,
The
yeah.
Mad one.
Mad
The
One is a cool watch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Mad one, which is I like what he's doing over there. But
Mhm.
in terms of like the other guys, so nah, not.
You never thought probably thought about it, but got into like FP Jorn.
I've looked at FP Joint a few times, but I met an FP Joint collector one
Mhm.
time though, and the guy completely rubbed me the wrong way, and I'm like,
Sure.
nah, this is not for me though. You know what I
Mm.
mean? You know, like the guy had this pretentious nature about him though. right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I'm not associating FP Joint with pretentiousness,
Yeah.
but just meeting him, and he was a big FP Joint collector. I'm like,
No,
man,
I get. I mean, that's
Well,
kind
when
of
you
what did
purchase
it to
these
me about
watches,
the
you
sub.
kind of become part of the club.
Yeah.
guess
And so there's a cultural aspect to it too, where, you know, because part of the fun in like owning a Patek is meeting other people who own Pateks
Yes.
correct.
and getting to sort of, you know, fawn over the beauty and the history. And so sharing that experience is nice. So if you have a bad experience, I could definitely see how I could like
Yeah.
kind of like, maybe later.
You kind of
Right.
think he speaks for everybody.
Oh, yeah,
Yes,
well,
yeah.
but at
No,
least
not
it's just
really.
like, you know, you go back to focus on what you've already
Yeah.
focused on.
Yeah,
Yes.
true. I mean, I like the Chronometer Blue. I think
Sure.
that's what they call
Chrono,
it.
yeah, I was looking
Nice.
at one the other day
Yeah, I'm
with
good on
Danny.
that
The
one.
Chronomat Blue is
That's right.
one of my favorite pieces. It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful watch.
It is.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, we have a friend in the audience with us tonight, and it's funny because I didn't know he was joining us.
Mm-hmm.
But I know you have a relationship with this guy,
Yes, sir.
and I wanted to ask because, you know, I've seen Albert Combs, whom
Yes,
we
sir.
know,
Great guy.
who really great guy, who founded Official CP Time,
Mm-hmm.
and he has a podcast that he does occasionally with CQ, who helped him start this. You know, he speaks really, really highly of you, and he's building, you know, what he's building, and it's pretty incredible. And I'm just curious what the state of affairs are in terms of how you see it with respect to, especially at your level, diversity amongst watch collectors.
Yeah, it's important. You know, it's important because it shows that, you know, we have different facets of who we are. We're not
Yeah.
just athletes that play basketball or entertainers and actors. We're professionals,
Yeah.
you know, that can enjoy collecting timepieces,
Mhm.
right? And what Mr. Coombs, Dr. Coombs is what I call him, is doing with CP Time is amazing. He's building more of that inclusiveness,
Yeah.
you know, with us and giving us a platform to kind of like talk about these watches, right?
Mm.
And it's interesting. Albert and I would talk here and there for quite some time, and somehow I was in Vegas. This
Okay.
is, I want to say, maybe 2 years ago. Was it 2 years ago?
Yeah, man.
See, he's here.
I was in Vegas. He was in Vegas too.
Yeah.
And we just connected that way. It's like,
Yeah.
and that's the first time we met. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yo, we've been talking, going back and forth. And, you know, amazing guy, man. I consider him one of my brothers also, though. You
Yeah.
know, great guy.
It's
Okay.
awesome to see what's happening right now. And it's funny because when I talk to watch collectors in New York, the way I describe it, I said it's like a little bit of like a watch renaissance happening right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because like post COVID, with a lot of these other organizations that have come up, you know, we've had Red Bar,
Yeah.
and you know they kind of planted their seed, and now you know the idea of watch collectors communing together has really blown up and grown in a way where you go to these events and it's the diversity factor is just through the roof in terms of, you know, diversity amongst, you know, ethnicity, diversity in gender, diversity in occupation, right? Diversity in collection,
Yes.
which I think is really awesome. Like to coexist in a space where someone might have like a Seiko 5 on, and then the other person might have a Patek, and
they're both admiring
they're-
each other's watch.
And it's both
they're,
a safe
they're
place.
both admiring each other's watch, and they're sharing and exchange information.
Yeah.
It's a really special time for watchmaking right now, and I'm really enjoying it.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I want to just cover I know you got some other special pieces here, so let's take a quick look at some of what you have and just see,
Okay.
like, let's pick out some stuff. I'm
All right.
curious about this piece here.
Yes, sir. So it's a Frederick Constant
Yep.
Tourbillon perpetual calendar, right? I know we spoke a little bit about this off camera, but I mean, it's only 15 of these guys that exist. And we already know if it's at Patek Philippe or
Yeah.
Audemars Piguet or
Everyone will
Vacheron
go.
Constantin, this sort of flew off the shelves,
Yeah.
you know, a long time ago. But, you know, I was lucky to get this piece. And I mean, it's truly a spectacular watch to wear and own.
You were hunting down number 7, you said.
I
Would you
was.
still have kept number 6?
Of course. No, wait, if I got number 7?
Yeah.
Then that would have been a little bit redundant. At
Sure.
that point, I would have to think a little bit like, okay, who can I gift this watch to? You know, but I have gifted watches,
Yeah.
some of this caliber before though. But yeah. But
What's your favorite watch that you've given away?
my favorite watch?
Yeah.
Wow.
That you gave away.
Hmm.
That sometimes you think about, you're like, damn, should I have done that?
I
know this one.
Actually, it was an
You gonna call
Omega.
that person
Yeah,
out?
no,
Come on.
no. It was an Omega. It was an Omega
Oh, okay.
to
Was it Snoopy?
no, it wasn't a Snoopy,
Perry,
though.
Perry's favorite.
No, it was an Omega watch that I gifted a number of years ago to a kid who lived in Canada,
Wow.
right? Who was interested in watches and stuff like that. And of course, he couldn't really get a watch. And I'm like, you know what?
Yeah.
I have this watch. Here you go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It
Amazing.
really made his day though.
Yeah.
You know?
Do you
So
remember what model it was? Was it
I
Speedy?
gotta go back and go to the archives though.
Sure.
But I texted to you.
You got a couple of Bulgaris here too.
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
that rose gold joint.
That rose gold one is
Yeah.
special.
That's a skeletonized Octo Finissimo 8-day power reserve.
Yes,
manual
sir.
on,
Oh,
right?
you know it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know it.
I know.
You know
a
what?
little something.
See, I love what Bulgari is doing, and this is like really thinking outside the box, right? The
Mm.
slim case, the rose gold case. I mean, it's way different than your standard, let's say GMT or Submariner,
Sure.
right? And yeah, I mean, if you look at it on social media, you know, standards, you know, you're not gonna get the most likes from
No.
this or something like that, right?
Mhm.
Actually, no, I'm lying though. There is one guy, I think I've seen him in Asia or something like that,
Hmm.
who's building a Bulgari collection. And it's like as soon as he posts his Bulgari,
Mhm.
in like 2 seconds, he has like 5,000 likes though, or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So I mean,
This is the kind of watch that, like you said, it's different than what you see on social media for
Absolutely.
the most part.
absolutely.
But it's a thing where if you ever get to put one on, or if you, let's say you own one, it's all you want to wear in post.
Correct.
I've never seen that piece actually before. I love the strap.
I like the Octo Finissimo on the strap more than the bracelet.
No, it looks really
I
good.
don't like the bracelets.
100%.
Agreed.
I agree.
What do we have over here, man?
Well, we got another Octo Finissimo, the Sketch. The
see
Sketch
that one?
chronograph is pretty hot.
Oh yeah. This is another one I've seen a lot of.
Yeah, this
It's
one is
sandblasted titanium.
right.
Mhm.
It's a limited run of 200 pieces on that one.
Wow, this is awesome.
They numbered on those?
No, it's not numbered. It's not individually
The
numbered,
dial
but it
is
says
crazy.
It just says like up
This is all
200.
titanium, obviously, right? Yeah.
it's
Seems
super
light as hell.
lightweight also.
Jesus.
Talk to me about this tutor advisor.
Yes, sir. So this is what I'm talking about. Like,
That's an interesting one.
right. This is what I'm talking about. Thinking outside the box, right? I wish Rolex would do something like this.
Yeah, I've seen you wear
You know?
this on the gram too. You've tossed this one on, yeah.
Yeah, it's a totally unique watch. I mean, I know Jaeger LeCoultre makes the Memovex, which is an alarm clock watch, but this one really stood out for me because it's brown, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I got one of my boys sitting
Brown
over
dial
there.
too.
Yeah, I got one of my boys sitting over there, Lou.
Yeah.
You know, he always makes these jokes, man. You're so chocolatey, right? So that watch kind of like blends in with my complexion, though.
Yeah. This thing is tight.
And what about the red and the blue reversos there?
Right. So, I mean, I also have the green one, but
I know you have the green one. You didn't bring it with you though, right?
No, I didn't bring it with me though. But the blue one is the dual face over there, right?
The red is a mono on the blue crocodile strap alligator.
Exactly. So this red on this reverse right here is like an ox blood red though.
Yeah,
right?
it's not really red. It's definitely more like burgundy.
Exactly, Bordeaux. That's what they say, and it like really pops. It really stands out. And I had to put on a blue strap to give it that
crazy contrast.
Exactly,
That's
that look.
Yeah.
So funny enough, this piece still has the stickers.
Yeah.
He wears them until he fall off.
There you go.
So that's what I was going to refer to is that obviously this watch is worn, but you still have the stickers on.
Correct.
I think, what's very cool is the fact that you have so many watches, but you still keep them very pristine. And, the level of like casing that you put them in, it means that you value these pieces so much as art.
Of course.
So
absolutely.
In connection, Perry is really big into art and collects art. Is there any outside interest that you do have? Do you collect anything outside of
video
watches?
games?
Yeah, I mean,
And video games?
Well, yeah, no, he said, he shared that earlier.
Talk about that. I'm kind of curious. How do you collect video games?
Nintendo 64 cassettes you got?
Oh man, I mean,
That's
it's
Super Smash Brothers.
You got Super Mario Brothers?
It goes deeper than that. So Neo Geo, I don't know if you guys
I know Neo Geo.
Yeah.
So I was from that era where my parents would never think about buying me a Neo Geo. Right?
Sure.
So when I got to a level where I can earn my own income and afford it.
You bought a Neo Geo instead of a PS2?
There you go.
Respect.
There you go. No, but yeah, Neo Geo is one of the things. TurboGrafx 16.
Oh, I remember that.
All of that stuff.
That's so funny.
But yeah. But Rashawn, to answer your question though, the sticker thing, right? I remember this about Rolex forums though. So I would always keep the stickers to my watch. And this is before when dealers had to remove
take them off,
the stickers though. I will always keep the stickers to my watch until they fell off naturally, like an umbilical cord, right? And I remember when I would post my watches on the forums, people would be like, man, peel those stickers off, do this, do that though. So one time with my 218235, it's a rose gold date 8 with the wave dial, right?
Okay.
At that time, I think I had the chocolate Roman dial before I switched up to the wave dial, right? I kept the stickers on.
You did a dial swap on that?
Yeah, I did a dial swap on that though, right? Still have the chocolate dial also.
You kept the chocolate.
Yep. So the watch looked crazy horrible with the stickers pulling off, by itself, hanging off by a thread, right? So I did a video with a buddy of mine, right, where he filmed me peeling the stickers off my date 8, right?
Okay.
And then people were like, oh yeah, finally. but for the most part, I just like to keep them. If I can keep a watch with stickers on it, I'll do that.
Yeah. So I'm holding the watch in my hand, which is I thought you were wearing when we started.
Okay.
So we have a Rolex Oyster Perpetual date. Not a date just, it's a 34 millimeter. So it's a date. And it's Tiffany stamp.
Yes, sir.
This ain't the only Tiffany stamp watch you brought with you.
No, it's not.
Is this the first one you got?
No, that's not the first one I got, but that's one of the early ones I've gotten.
Yeah. So around what year did you get this?
I got that one from Justin Grunberg, who is in California. I want to say about 6 years ago or so. Reference number is 1400 on that one.
Beautiful watch.
What year is this? This is
that's probably from the 60s.
from the 60s, early. Oh wow.
Yeah.
So you collect vintage?
I don't really collect vintage. I don't have a large vintage collection, but I have some vintage pieces though, right?
So what is it that stands out to you about vintage? When do you know, like, okay, pop the trigger on this one?
That's a whole murky thing altogether though. I don't really know too much about vintage because
the thing with vintage too is that you can never know enough.
Exactly.
Like when you think there's like quote unquote rules to vintage, especially in the world of Rolex, something comes and just breaks them all.
Exactly. Exactly.
They did a lot of funky stuff.
Exactly. There
Yeah.
you go.
And it's like you never really, it's like, oh, well, that's
Oh,
not
there's like
correct, but then all of
that
a
cherry
sudden-
dial Day we were looking at the other day.
Yeah.
The Chinese edition. It was in like 90s.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a Stella Day, but it's not like a traditional Stella Oxblood stone.
Really?
It's just crazy red.
Was
Yeah.
it legit? Or?
Yeah, I mean, that's what
And
people
it's
are
on
saying.
it's at a hidden clasp
Yeah.
oyster bracelet, white gold.
White gold.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. I don't trust it too much.
But that's the thing. It's like it's
Yeah.
kind of hard to. But
Right.
then when you see people in the industry or just people who are established in that world and they're like
Right.
giving it praise, it's like this is weird. Why are you doing this?
Yeah, I'm not so sure. I know this guy John Mayer got caught up in a few things.
Yeah, we know
Yeah,
about
sure.
that.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, this has been an absolute pleasure, my man.
Appreciate it.
I appreciate you coming all the way down here to sit down with us and to do this interview.
Appreciate it.
I wish you continued success and health in
Thank
life.
you.
It's a new year. 2023 is starting off right.
Thank
Yes.
you.
And I can't wait to have you back sometime in the future and see where this is taking you later on. So much appreciated. And this is episode 45. Before we wrap, just want to let you all who are watching and listening know where you can find us. Right? You can visit the website, riskcheckpod.com. You can find us on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Overcast,
TikTok for the children.
TikTok, and IG, of course, Instagram.
Yes.
We appreciate you all. Thank you for tuning in.
Yes.
And deuces,
All right. Appreciate you guys.
Peace.
my man.